Hey everybody, this is John Fanning and Raymond Beacon with the Ray and John Table Topics show. This is our episode number 2, and today we are fortunate enough, we're very lucky to have an awesome guest with us. Rob Lekowski is going to join us. We thought it would be more entertaining than just hearing me and Ray do war stories, although we will probably do that again. But Rob is from ESI Analyst. He is the Senior Vice President there. We're going to have him on. Just quickly refresh everybody's memory. I'm John Fanning. I'm with Integrity Risk International. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for them. And we are a enhanced due diligence firm working with the financial, the anti-bribery and corruption industry, and also with FCPA, third party. And Ray, who has been a longtime friend of mine and a fellow member of the Greater Houston Business Ethics Roundtable, is on here with me. Ray, why don't you are more familiar with our guest today, so why don't you take it from here? Tell us a little bit about how you guys know each other and introduce yourself, and then we'll give it to Rob.
Yeah. Rob and I met through working together on a project. So we're actually engaged right now in a project with a very large law firm with a lot of cell phone data, text message type data, social media type data. And ESI Analyst has just been very impressive to our client on how it handles and manages and allows people to review that data in a more robust fashion than you can through the old traditional review type platform. So Rob and I met through actually Chorus Consulting and ESI Analyst being able to work together on this project, and have kind of forged a relationship and a partnership moving forward. And I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Chorus Consulting, and Rob is VP of Sales, I believe, VP of Business Development for ESI Analyst. So, Rob?
Yeah, well, John and Ray, thanks a lot for letting me join. Very excited to talk about our company, because it's very exciting technology, but also it's just exciting what we're doing to help clients and help people. So I've been in the industry for a long time, probably dating myself here, going back to the days of FIOS in the early 2000s, and then Recommind, and then a small company out of Nashville, Tennessee called DSI, before I went to work for ESI Analyst. And I think what attracted me to ESI Analyst, it was around legal tech last year, was one, the technology, because our focus is really on, we call it modern data. And by that, we mean, as Ray alluded to, text, chats, geolocation, but we combine that with computer artifacts. So computer activity, as well as financial transactions and social media. And we bring what otherwise has been siloed data together so that the story can be told. So on the face value of the technology was very intriguing to me. But then when you add to it the CEO's story of what really motivated him to create this technology, that was extremely compelling. And do you want me to run through that story real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Trent Livingston is our CEO, and Trent is a long-time eDiscovery veteran, has done a lot of testifying at the state level and the federal level with regards to forensic collections and things like that. Well, unfortunately, several years ago, his family endured a criminal case where some members of his family were the victims. The good news is everybody's okay today, but it was a harrowing story when it was going on. And Trent, being from the industry, he knew that if he could get his hands on geolocation points, the texts, the chats, the financial transaction activity history, as well as phone calls, cell phone calls, he knew he could prove his family's case without a doubt. However, that was easier said than done. And in the beginning, there weren't very many law firms that even wanted to take his case because there wasn't a lot of money in it for them. And it was so burdensome to try to go get those different disparate data types. And so, Trent endured that case the hard way. And, eventually things ended up okay. But as I mentioned, it was harrowing. And that's what motivated him to create ESI Analyst and put together a solution for those modern data types. We call it modern data types, and bring those data types together such that the story can be told. So for instance, how cool is it to be able to show that somebody downloaded a client list from a hard drive, what the text messages and the chat messages were before and after that happened. And by the way, where they were when they did that, as well as a immediate financial transaction that might've happened, literally 2 minutes after the last text message. So that's what ESI Analyst does. It brings together and brings to life that data, and it automates timelines around it. So a lot of things that take up incredible amounts of human labor are now automated. And, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Yeah. No, that's great. And we spoke a little bit about this, Rob, and listening to Trent's story, you said that most of this stuff is already done a lot of times by law enforcement, by legal folks in a case, but it's very time consuming, very laborious, and there's no clear path. And so ESI has really built a tool to automate that and streamline that process, and it alleviates a lot of the headaches that are around that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And that was, part of, Trent's motivation, and his initiatives are all around enabling people to actually tell their story without the costs being an impediment.
Wow. Yeah. And whatever happened with Trent's case, was that did that end up in his favor, or did they end up did that not go the way they wanted it to? Can you tell us?
So yeah, at the end of the case, towards the end, Trent said to his attorneys, "Hey, geez, if I just put together a timeline coordinating all these data types, would that help you guys and gals?" And they said, "Well, yeah." And so he put that together, and that was the icing on the cake that won the case in his favor. And then that was the icing on the cake of our platform currently, as those timelines now are automated.
That's great. Yeah, it's nice. I have a friend of mine who started a company for security reasons because his business got stolen from him, and they did not have as good a results. It's nice that he actually was successful, but necessity is the mother of invention, is what I've heard said a lot, and I believe it's true. So, well, that's great. Well, what we've done here in the past is, well, in our first episode, we had Ray tell a war story about something he had going on, or that a case that they had worked. Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the applications, and maybe if you've got any type of stories that relate to that, give us one of those that would maybe bring it home for the folks.
Yeah, sure. So our clients currently fall into two camps. One is they're frustrated with current methods at their disposal for just reviewing text messages and chats. And maybe coordinating geolocation, because all of those data points come out of the mobile device via Celebrite imaging or oxygen imaging, the copying imaging of the cell phones. So our solution just for the text rendering and the chat rendering, and of course, mind you, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. but we certainly believe it's the best solution out there. One, in terms of facilitating the review of those data types and making it go quickly, visualizing it because people are so visual today, and maintaining the integrity of that data is tremendous. And I could go into a great story about that, but maybe at a later time. So that's one camp. The second camp is when you have those data types in addition to computer artifacts, data that would be derived from an image of a laptop using FTK, EnCase imaging, Axiom reports, pulling, file folders that were copied. When did somebody access this URL, log on, log off? When did somebody plug in a USB drive? Those kind of data types, in addition to financial transactions, which are derived from QuickBooks reports or bank statements, spreadsheets, et cetera, in addition to potentially social media, or it could be any kinds of data with a date and a timestamp. It could be retinal eye scans. It could be key card entry, that would indicate when somebody came in, when somebody came out. Because our platform is data oriented, not document oriented, it's very much built for the future of these types of data points. So we can bring all those data points together and construct a chronological order of events, kind of illustrating what I said earlier, about when does somebody download this client list? What were the text messages before and after? Where were they, via the geolocation? So those are two of the, sort of camps that we reside in. So we've had a case type via IP theft that is much like what I just illustrated. We've also had cases where health data has come into play, like data off of your Fitbit or an Apple Watch. It's amazing the amount of data that's out there. And so we can track it's kind of scary. We can track the exact route that someone took on a run. So, why would that be important? Well, what if somebody said I was out running at the time that XYZ happened, and then we could show that because of their Fitbit or their Apple Watch, that sure, they sure did run for 15 minutes, but then there was a gap in time of a half hour before they continued their run. And you can show that based on health data, et cetera, that comes off of those apparatuses. We can coordinate burner phones. If you watch any TV, whatever it may be, NCIS or Person of Interest, or whatever these other Netflix shows are, you see burner phones all over the place, and they come into play. How do you coordinate the data off a burner phone with somebody's supposed real cell phone, et cetera? So we're working on cases like that. Accidental death cases where there could be potential negligence involved, where somebody died and there's literally hundreds of people around. So how could that have happened? And how can all of a sudden, just like the movies, nobody knows anything, right? So accessing the victim's cell phone to see that text messages were deleted, so if they were deleted before or after the death, that's very interesting. And then coordinated with geolocation points on a huge estate where you can actually pinpoint it to a certain room in the house. So cases like that, emoji cases, who would have thought, right? But our platform allows you to search emojis. So, that might not win or lose a case for you, but it might help with the relevance of a particular text message, depending on the emoji that was at the end of the text message, a smiley face or a mean face or or something with a sword through it, or, there's crazy stuff. So I could go on and on. I won't bore you with any more of those.
No, that's great. I can, you said that might not solve the case, but it sounds like a lot of the data and information you're providing could be the smoking gun. It could be the thing that really pieces everything together. I mean, there's so much relevant information. And the thing it sounds like, things like the social media and being able to track against that is fascinating. Ray and Rob, why don't you guys describe how you guys work together, and then Rob, maybe tell us how you work with other. I even think about integrity risk, and that there could be applications with us because we do investigations at corporate levels. And I know that there's, certainly this sounds like we could piece some things together utilizing your service. So tell us how you work with other folks, if it's a subscription, and how people engage with ESI Analyst.
Yeah, from my end, we're more of the boots on the ground side, and we'll actually go out and gather all of the data that we then hand off to ESI Analyst, and then they take it from there from the review standpoint. We third party, their platform basically. So we'll utilize ESI Analyst in order to take the data that we've gone out and captured, whether that be from cell phones or social media accounts, chat rooms, anything like that. And then we hand that data over to Rob's group that then loads that up and allows our clients to go in and do their due diligence, investigate the data, whether we're doing that for them or we're training them and they're doing it themselves. So the three of us kind of would work together. You're doing a really big investigation and you need some of that technology. You call me, I can go out and gather the data. I'll give it to Rob, and we have a three-way partnership going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's an important point that the data has to be collected first, and that's what we use Ray's company for, or companies like Ray's. And because people were probably even thinking as I was running through that, well, how do you get the data in your platform? And it's via forensic companies, eDiscovery companies that have a forensic department, where they can image cell phones and laptops, et cetera. And then we easily put that data into our platform, and then that's where the special sauce happens, and it coordinates everything in chronological order and allows for a very simple and easy review.
So would a company like Ray's company be your target customer, Rob, or who are you guys primarily going after? I know your background, and I think Trent's also was eDiscovery. Is it a lot of times the law firms, just similar to like the eDiscovery folks?
Yeah.
Gathering that information? Okay.
Yeah, so certainly eDiscovery service providers, especially the ones that have a forensic presence, could be just forensic and investigation type companies, could be forensic accounting oriented companies, and it could be consultative companies, that are in that space. And then certainly law enforcement is probably has a big appetite for our technology. And we're just starting to get into that, even though some people think that makes the most sense of all of it. So we're excited about the prospects of helping out the law enforcement side as well.
Wow, no, that's great, and I can see some applications there, and as well. And I know that you're talking to a friend of ours, Kevin Metcalf, at the National Child Protection Task Force. I hope that goes well, because the work those guys do is very important, and it sounds like what you guys could help a lot. So unless, Ray, you've got any other questions, I think in the effort to keep things short and sweet, we'll probably get Rob's information and wrap things up. Ray, you got anything else on your end?
No, good. Appreciate you coming on, Rob.
Oh no, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, we're excited. It sounds it's an exciting product, an exciting company, and thank you for taking the time to meet with us. Rob, tell the audience kind of how they can get in touch with you. And then we'll also, I'll try to do some editing and put your contact information in a window there. And then we'll put it, when we post this, we'll make sure we put that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. So my email is rob.lekowski, Lekowski, at esianalyst.com, all one word. So rob.lekowski at esianalyst.com, or feel free to call me, 513-518-4196, 513-518-4196. Either one's fine.
Well, sounds great. So this is our second episode, and Rob, I appreciate you being our first official guest on the show, and hopefully this will be, a continuation that we can continue to bring an interesting and dynamic guest on. Hopefully you'll join us again in the future, and with that, I think we'll wrap it up. So I'll say bye, and until next time, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
Ray, John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.